Ruella is one of the best champions there is in Raid Shadow Legends for the Fire Knight in particular. She's a total beast with 5 stars in Hell Hades. She does turn meter control, she does debuff the hell out of the Fire Knight as well as buff your allies. And most importantly, she has triple hits everywhere. Today we're going to be doing a full review of her kit as well as a build guide on how she works. So today we're looking here at a 17 or rather tier 17 or state 17, whatever, Fire Knight. And as you can see, we are running with a whole lot of turn meter control through that Armiger, as well as we have a lot of triple hitters in here with the Boggoth, we have the Alice, and we have the Ruella, right? So as soon as we are able to go through that barrier, which we're very easily doing so, we are going to be taking that turn meter down so damn quickly. And it's not just a turn meter decrease that Ruella does, and we'll get into the skills in a moment. She also steals that turn meter, right? So together with the Armiger, with enough accuracy to guarantee ourselves to always be getting those crits and getting the turn meter steal, or rather decrease from him, this boss is a breeze, right? I'm hoping to get him to at least like stage 20 after this upgrade. I really recently got her geared up and stuff. She's not even level 60 just yet, right? So let's look at her kit. If you want to join my team in Raid Shadow Legends, click the link in the description to get a free Narma as well as Anax, Uugo, and Mausoleum Mage as you progress through the game. Here's what you need to do. First of all, log out of Plarium Play on PC and uninstall. Then click the link in the description and register a brand new email. Launch Raid and complete the tutorial, and then go to your inbox and claim your first champ. Don't miss out on your chance to get a fresh start in Raid with a free Narma and 3 epic champs. Click on my link right now. And real quick, this fight was a total breeze. As you can see, I could probably do without the Ruella for the heals. I could put something else in there for a little bit more damage, like Udex Arthur that I do have. Now, Ruella doesn't do the most damage, but she brings the tools you need for this setup in particular, right? So let's go ahead and look at what she does as a champion. Let's start by looking at her skills, and I'm just getting her started. In fact, I do have one more skill, which I'm going to be putting into her real quick, just so we can go for a little bit of gambling in here, hoping for... Actually, I wanted something in the A3, but the A2 is not bad, right? So let's first just go ahead and check out what the skills do, right? So her A1 is a triple hit, which is going to be doing some turn meter steal, right? Every critical hit is going to have a big chance, which can go all the way up to 100% when fully booked up, of stealing 5% of the target's turn meter, right? That in itself is already 15% of the turn meter gone, which you can boost up with other relics, which I don't have right now. For example, the one that I do have on my Armiger, which is going to be boosting the turn meter reduction effects by 15%. You could put something in like that on the Ruella, which I eventually will once I do have another copy of that relic, and therefore the A1 is going to be munching through that shield like crazy, if so of course no cooldown on there, and then she's going to be taking the turn meter down very often, right? It's something that's going to be happening quite often. So you got the good stuff from the Armiger over here, right? Of course, it's not as strong of a turn meter decrease than the Armiger would be, but it's also a triple hit, so you got better tools over here to get rid of both the things that you need on the Fire Knight, which is the shield stacks as well as the turn meter, right? Then we have the A2 here, which is also a triple hit, but each hit is going to be having a decent chance, which can be increased up to 70%, of applying a 60% decreased defense debuff, being able to destroy that boss real damn quick. Again, Ruella isn't really going to be doing the most damage, but it's going to be enabling your team to have somebody else do that damage for you. In the case of my team, that is the Alice with another triple hit involved in there. Then we also have the weaken debuff here, which is going to, once again, make the fight a whole lot easier, and a 30% decrease speed debuff, right? So you're going to be able to put this... actually, it doesn't go down to 3-turn cooldown, which I think it did, right? That would be ideal, but you're going to be able to get the boss to be fully debuffed real quick if you actually get the chances popping off, right? Because you do need to have the actual thing happen, but it's each hit, right? It doesn't even have to be critical, and we are running here at 100% crit rate because of the A1, by the way, but each hit is going to be having those chances, meaning you're going to be very easily able to apply all this stuff, right? You're going to be getting it all the way up to 70% chance, and just do that 3 times. Eventually, you're going to be getting all the debuffs applied, right? So, a lot of debuffing, the boss is going to be becoming a whole lot easier to do damage to. And then we have the A3 over here, which is going to be getting you a turn meter boost, as well as applying an increased crit rate buff to all allies for 2 turns, right? This is on a 6-turn cooldown from the get-go, but you gotta book this up to full, man. It's 3 cooldowns, like a 3-turn cooldown reduction, right? You got it all the way up to level 4. It's only gonna be 3-turn cooldown, right? So that increased crit rate is gonna be allowing her to get to the 100% crit rate cap a lot easier, so you can actually be a little bit more lenient with the gearing, which right now I haven't been so, and I've put her up in full 100% crit rate, but you're gonna be able to again boost the damage of all your allies by quite a little bit, right? I would always be running this no matter what. Like you might think maybe I would disable this in the actual fight of the Fire Knight. I don't know. I think it's definitely worth to have that turn meter feel as well as the crit rate going on. You might be losing a little bit of the turn meter steal as well as the triple hits. I think it's just fine. I think it's gonna be taking a little bit longer to get the team going because the first couple turns she's gonna be going through the. You might just want to be setting up the AI so she doesn't actually use this until like 2 turns after or something like that. It's gonna be taking a little while for the fight to ramp up, right? As soon as you got a couple turns from her going on, she's gonna be using the A3, and then you might want to set up so that the A1 goes first. I don't know. Then A3 goes second, something like that. I don't know. Playing around with that setup, something that I haven't really done just yet, but her kit is totally decked out, right? Let's go to the gearing side of things. We are running here on quite an interesting setup, right? And that is because of reasons I'll explain in a moment. But the stuff we're going for here is the following. First and foremost, we are going for a big bunch of accuracy, right? We've got 240 accuracy. It's probably better to see it right here, right? 240 accuracy. I've got more than enough that I need for the stage that I'm clearing right now, and that is fine. I could switch to something else, but I'm just fine with that. Of course, we got a lot of debuffing and stuff that needs the accuracy, right? So if we just get it in there, it's going to be a whole lot easier to get the things happening, right? If you don't have the accuracy on her, she's going to be useless. Then we have a whole lot of crit rate again, as I mentioned, 100% crit rate, really important, so she actually triggers her A1 and you get the turn meter steal, right? You gotta get that going. That is her bread and butter for the Fire Knight. She will also pretty much work on the Spider as well, I'm assuming, right? Just not as good, of course. Her Fire Knight ratings are insane because of the triple hits and stuff. Her turn meter stealing is always fine, right? So you might be also able to use that on the Spiders then, which I will try her on. And then, what else do we go for her? We are going to be going for some crit damage. Of course, we do want to be boosting her damage a little bit, even though she's not really going to be doing that much of that. That's just yet with the gear that I have. And then I am going for speed for sure. You can see as an attack champion, she is really damn speedy, right? I just want to get her going as often as possible because, well, I'm really using her for the turn meter steal as well as the triple hits, right? So the more that I get, the better the fight is gonna go down. And then finally, we are also going for attack percentage, right? That is the ideal scenario. I scale up her accuracy first and foremost, then the crit rate goes to 100%, then I get some crit damage over there, and then a little bit of speed. I think speed would probably be better than the actual crit damage for sure, and then the attack percentage as the last priority, right? So why do I have this mixed setup, right? I'm going for the perception set simply because of the accuracy and speed, always nice. A little bit of extra speed on the speed set, nothing crazy over there, right? And then I got the Defiant set over here, which is, by the way, quite great for the Fire Knight as well, just because of the AoE damage reduction, right? I'm gonna be taking a lot of that, but the reason for the Defiant set really was just because there is the Forge Pass active right now at the time of recording this video, and therefore I was able to get a lot of pieces, just crafting them randomly, so I could get the good stats on them. I could get... What do I have on this one? I have the crit rate over here. Everything else is kind of crappy. I do have the speed and accuracy over here, but not attack percentage, and we have some resistance, so whatever. I really just wanted to get some crit rate gloves, which I couldn't find anywhere else, and just spam crafted the whole thing. I spent all the resources I got from the Force Pass on the Defiant gear, so I could get some decent pieces. And then I also got an accuracy chest over here with a little bit of crit damage, and then everything else was just rolled defensively. But it's alright. She needs to survive. She's quite squishy. She is an attack champion, right? Everything else is actually quite good stats. We got accuracy, attack rate, damage, crit rate over here on this weapon. We got also speed boots over here with a double crit rate upgrade, crit percentage, or rather attack percentage and flat attack and resistance. Not the best, but not the worst for sure. We got some crit damage, accuracy, speed over here, very good rolls as well. Actually not, yeah, we got the HP over there, but yeah, she needs to survive at least. It's all right, right? We don't need everything to be fully aggressive on her. We do have some crit damage, crit rate, speed over here, right? So she has quite a decent amount of gear, right? Now we do have a terrible ring on her, and we don't even have a second artifact right here. I mean, accessory. I don't have a necklace for the Sylvan Watchers right now that I can put on her. We just have a little bit of attack over here, and then everything else is defensive, right? So this is her current setup. She has a decent amount of power at the moment, and she's able to do the job completely fine. I would love to have the relic that I mentioned before, the one that I have on the Armiger, the Tempus Sagnis or whatever. I'm sure there is better ones, right? But this one is very easy to access, just so I can put it on her and have the turn meter decreasing effect be a whole lot stronger. And I'm yet to climb on the Fire Knight. I just did stage 17. It was a breeze. We're going to be going down to stage 20, hopefully being able to clear that real easily. Now let's move on to masteries. So as you can see, my masteries are totally naked, and that is because I had 800 gems right here still waiting to be used, right? I just got enough to actually go ahead and buy all the scrolls, and I'm going to be doing exactly that and getting her decked out, right? So I'm going to be following the mastery setup from Hell Hades as well as other website. I think it's Ayumi Love or whatever. Best setup that I can find for the Fire Knight in particular. So we got extra crit rate, which at this point I'm really thinking I overdid it with my gear because of I just have so much crit rate. We have the crit damage over here, very damn nice. What else we got from this setup? Increased damage inflicted by 5% when attacking with full HP. That's going to happen a lot if I'm running with the Ruella that I am right now on the Fire Knight. Heals by 5% of the damage inflicted when attacking with 50% HP or less. Could be pretty clutch if the fight becomes a little bit harder. Increased damage inflicted to targets with less than 40% HP by 8%. That's definitely alright. What else? We're going to be getting has a 30% chance of decreasing the cooldown of a random skill by 1 turn if the damage is inflicted by a skill exceeds 30%. This is, I don't know about that one. This screams something else. I don't know, maybe good for the trash or whatever. It's not going to be happening on the Fire Knight, that is for sure. I don't know what else we could have gotten there. Probably not the greatest, but anyways. Increases damage inflicted by 6% when attacking targets with higher max HP. That is straight up just bosses, so we're already getting quite a lot of damage from this whole setup. Increases damage inflicted by 6% in arena and siege battles, and 3% in all other locations for each enemy killed by this champion in battle. I guess stacks across the battle. There we go, right? So it does stack if we do kill the previous stages. So we run into the Fire Knight and we got this path fully stacked up. Now, increases the damage inflicted by this champion's default skill by 2% each time it's used during battles. It's going to be stacked up quite a lot, and that is, of course, the turn meter reduction skill we're going for. Now, we do not have enough ascendancy, or rather, she's not 6 stars, right? So we cannot go for the Giant Slayer, but that is what we would otherwise be getting. 30% chance of increasing bonus damage when attacking. Bonus damage is equal to a bunch of the champion's max HP or a 3% target's max HP. So it's just going to be a little bit of extra damage based off of max HP of whether ourselves or the enemy. Now we go for extra accuracy over here, because, well, we need a lot of that, and I've definitely overshot my gear. I could have gotten for a little bit more aggression. Increases accuracy by 20 when the champion has no skills and cooldown, so that's the first thing we're going to be doing when we have we're starting in the fight. Probably never going to really be triggering unless we set up the AI properly. Then we go for the following: increase accuracy by 4 for each enemy alive, so pretty handy for the trash levels. Then we have increased the base stats we're getting from the gear. That's always a great one on anybody, basically. And then 30% chance of extended duration of any debuff cast by this champion by 1 turn. We're going to be casting a lot of debuffs, so this is what it would look like as it is right now. Again, I would be getting the Giant Slayer if I had her at 6 stars. So this is what my Ruella looks like after all the masteries have been applied to her. We do have the stats from the gear increased applied over here. We can see that we got a little bit of extra speed out of that. We got a little bit too much crit rate. We could do with a little bit less, but that's just okay. I guess we could, like, again, eventually switch it away from there. We have a little bit more crit damage, of course, and the accuracy has gone all the way up to 256, and we are only clearing stage 18 at this point, right? So we definitely overshot it by quite a little bit, but that is all right. Now, finally, I want to be touching on the aura. It's going to be increased accuracy in all dungeons by 40. It's going to be handy if you got anybody else who's a little bit short on the accuracy. At this point, I think I've got enough accuracy on anybody, so I'm probably going to be running in my Fire Knight, just like I'm doing right now, with the Alice aura for the increased attack. I guess I can afford that because, well, I've got enough of everything else that I need, so I can go for a little bit of extra aggression. And for the blessings, right, I do have her awakened 2 times, right, so I am able to put Cruelty Blessing on her, right? Why Cruelty? Now, Cruelty is going to be allowing her to decrease the defense of the bosses in this case, or anybody who she hitting, by quite a little bit. Every time she does, it's going to be stacking up to 5% for bosses. Now, I do have Cruelty as well on other champions, like for example, I do have on Boggoth, right? So I would probably at this point switch it away from the Boggoth. In the case of the Fire Knight, unfortunately, that is going to be taking quite some gems. Actually, I can switch it for free because it's the first time that I would be doing so in the Boggoth, but I cannot really be switching back and forth, right? That's going to be taking a lot of gems, right? You can only do it once for free, and then you have to spend, I think it's like 200 gems, right? So I kind of have like a little bit of an overkill right here with the Cruelty. I think I would probably put a Brimstone somewhere else. Like I would probably put it on the Boggoth, and then I have the Alice over here with the Crushing Rend, so I'm kind of like covered and good to go in all other avenues. I also got Survival Instincts over here with the Ruella, so I think I have like the best possible setup on my blessings for an entire team, besides the fact that I don't have a Brimstone right now. So I would put that in the Bogoth, and then I wouldn't be losing all the good stuff, right? Because it's a little bit of an overkill to have too many cruelties that they're not able to be stacked up, right? As soon as you get to the cap of the target's defense decrease, that is it. So that's how she works. Let's take a look at stage 18. It's of the Spirit Affinity, so we're gonna be fine because both her and Bogoth are of the Spirit Affinity, and then we're also gonna be strong versus that because we do have 2 of the Blue Affinity, which I always forget the name of. So this should be probably the easiest level. Now, who are people gonna be attacking here? I don't know. I think they're all gonna be going for the Armiger because he has the lowest HP out of this setup. Let's just go ahead and try it. Stage 18, first try, let's go. So we made it to the boss, and the whole thing was a little bit sketch. It took quite long, 3 minutes just to get here. The Armiger almost got killed once. He's definitely not supposed to be tanking anything whatsoever, so I do need more HP onto him, but we are just quite fine. We do have the Ruella over here, so we should be able to withstand the onslaught. Now, what's gonna be happening here, of course, first and foremost, we're gonna be getting through the shield stacks, right? As soon as we are able to fully set up a situation where the turn meter of the Fire Knight is kind of under control, what it probably will not be happening this turn around. There we go. We got a second round of the shield being applied, which is a little bit sketchy. As you can see, the Armiger is going down, and we do not have a revive, right? So if he does go down, we are doomed. We're not going to be able to control the turn meter, and it's going to be a snowball from there. But at this point, now you can see the turn meter from the Fire Knight is quite low, and we're going to be starting to get some of the good stuff happening, right? So we went in there with the Ruella, with some of those debuffs being applied, and there we go. The Armiger actually managed to land his A1 over here. So we go for a little bit of turn meter steal onto the A1 from the Ruella. It's not yet at 100% chance, so she did not steal as much as possible over there. She's going to be going again for it, which is going to be enabling for the Armiger to again go in there before the Fire Knight takes a turn. And as you can see at this point, we're starting to snowball, right? It's going to be all about keeping the turn meter under control, which we should definitely be able to do so because we got turn meter feels from Ruella herself as well as from the Ruella. Then we have the turn meter steal from the Ruella, we have the turn meter decrease from the Armiger, and it's really all just a matter of being able to get it under control. Now, it's going to be taking some turns over there, as you can see, to get the A3 going on the Ruella as well as the A2, so we got the debuffs applied. We do not have yet the decreased defense applied onto the boss, which is quite bad. Now, hopefully, there we go. The Armiger is going to go in, and the turn meter is going to be under control. We're going to be getting some more A1s from the Ruella going in, so the turn meter is going to still be just fine. If the boss does take one more turn, it's going to be no problem whatsoever, but we definitely want to eventually be getting that decreased defense debuff being applied, right? Now, here's going to be quite sketch because it just about fills the full turn meter of the boss, but we have the Armiger ready to go, right? So that's under control once again, and eventually, again, there we go. Now the shield is again reapplied. We do have the decreased defense debuff applied just now because the Ruella went for the A2 instead of the A1. Unfortunately, well, we now gotta go and munch through the shield once again, so we're able to keep on rolling. We do have the Bogoth, however, which is able to increase the duration of certain debuffs. There we go. We now have 2 turn duration on the A2, meaning that as soon as we got all 3 debuffs applied, we could totally never actually use the A2. Now, the AI is, of course, unable to be set up in such a way, so if we are going to be fully autoing this, she is still going to be using the A2 off cooldown, right? Which means that we're going to be having a little bit of a harder time controlling the turn meter if she takes she goes for A2s instead of A1s, but it should be just fine. As you can see, it's no biggie. We are just fine on the max HP decrease, or the actually HP destroy that the boss does. The only problem over here again would be the Armiger dying, and that is entirely on me because I do need a little bit more HP on him, probably a little bit more defense as well. And at the point that we are at, the boss is just dead. It was that simple. It took a little while, but the job was done by the team. The damage breakdown is the following. Of course, Ruella didn't really do the most. She is kind of close to Bogoth. She's not really supposed to be nuking the boss, although she could be doing quite a lot more if I did have some more crit damage on her. And the Alice really is here to nuke the whole thing. You cannot see it, but Alice did 1.1 million, right? So that is the whole thing. I did clear stage 18. Whatever the affinity for stage 19 would be, that's going to be a whole different story. At this point, the Armiger is probably going to have a whole lot harder time actually doing his job because of the weak hits, as well as because he's going to be definitely the tank of this whole fight. So we'll see if we can actually do this one, but that is a whole video, guys. At this point, hopefully you enjoy it. Before you go, please go ahead and check out Aptoide if you haven't done so yet. Now, Aptoide is going to be allowing you to get massive bonuses whenever doing purchase within Raid Shadow Legends, right? If you download download anything, or rather raid Shadow Legends through Aptoide, and you go ahead and try to buy something, what's going to happen is the following, right? Once you try to buy a pack, you're going to be getting a massive bonus that can go from extra 10% of the money you're spending on this pack all the way up to extra 35% of that much money. Now, you accumulate that bonus that you're getting in the form of Aptoide, I think it's like Aptoide balance, there we go, that's what the name is. And then once you do have enough of it, what's going to happen is you're going to be able to use that balance to do the purchase for you instead of actually using your real money, right? So it's pretty damn simple. You get more value for your money, and then over time with the cashback, you're able to afford more stuff without actually paying extra, right? You don't have to actually use your real money after you got enough of the bonus, right? Now, you got to set this up real easy by following the link down in the description explaining how to set it up on your Android devices, like your emulators on your PC like BlueStacks, or for example, your Android phones. That also works, and it doesn't work on iOS, unfortunately. And if you're going to be using Aptoide, you might as well go ahead and use my code, which will be somewhere here up in the screen as well as down in the description. You put that into the Aptoide wallet, and it's going to be getting you an extra 5% bonus from the get-go, right? So you can scale the bonuses you're getting, again, to extra 35% of any amount of money you are spending, right? So hopefully you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye. See you.